So yesterday I was having a conversation with someone on Discord. They were asking me what my favorite bosses were and why. Now the reason they were asking this is because they wanted to know what sort of bosses to look out for, to work towards, and there was kind of like two factors to it. One, the enjoyment of the boss and what you get out of it, like learning and stuff, and also just the enjoyment of it as well, but also the actual money that you make while doing the boss, whether they're worth it, whether it's a waste of time or not. And so we were talking about this and I thought it was quite an interesting topic and discussion, so I thought I'd make a video and explain to you guys what my favorite bosses for making money are in RuneScape 3 and why. And so in this video you will have the profits per hour that I normally get and you can probably expect to get as well, and then I'll also talk about like the things you can absolutely expect to get from them too, so you'll know how much money you can make, and then I'll explain why I choose those bosses over the other ones, because there's plenty of bosses, but these are the ones that I choose to do. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I hope it does provide some interest to you or some information or anything like that, but otherwise let's talk about the bosses. Okay, so we have 4 bosses on this list and they are soloable as well. You can do them in groups too. Every single one of them can be done in a group. Anyway, what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you which boss it is to begin with, and then we're going to talk about the numbers, so you guys who are here just for the numbers can get those, skip through to the next timestamp and do that however you want to do. And then I'll discuss why I enjoy those bosses so much and what I get out of them and what you can actually expect to get out of them and the reason that those are the bosses that I choose to do for making money. Okay, so now that's explained, the first one is going to be ED3. These numbers at ED3 are going to be based off of 3 runs per hour, because that's what I can achieve with about 2 minutes left on my aura. And I'm pretty confident in saying that if I can do 3 runs an hour, then it's probably achievable by most people with practice. That being said, by the end of the hour, I usually do get around about 15 mil in trash loot. And then if you work out the actual drop rates going off of a 1 in 55 drop rate at ED3, you can expect to get yourself around about 42 million GP an hour. If you went on drop rate, if you go dry, then that's just unfortunate. But basically this adds up to be around about 57 million GP an hour at 3 runs an hour. It's pretty good. The PVME Discord suggests that this should be about 68 mil an hour if you can get 3.5 runs per hour. So I'd say that works out pretty well. So with the numbers out of the way, why do I choose ED3 as one of my favorite bosses to make money at? Considering the actual price of probably, what, 57 mil an hour isn't actually that high, why do I choose this to be one of my most common money makers than anything else? I could pick something a lot higher than this, right? So the reason I pick ED3 is because 1, you have the chance at having a double drop from ED3 as well. So you could end up doubling that cost, that GP per hour, like nice and easily. If you get a double drop, that 42 mil suddenly becomes 84 mil. Once you add the 15 mil on, you are getting freaking close to 100 mil an hour. Now, of course, you can't expect this to double all the time. I believe it's a 1 in 5 chance, 20%, right? So it's not going to happen all of the time. So, but you've got that excitement out of it as well, and that's another part of it, right? Every time you do the run, you get a drop. There's that excitement of, did it double? You're going to get 1 in 5 doubles, or you could be like me and get 2 in 4 doubles, and that's kind of where mine went. But other than that, I just really enjoy Elite Dungeon content, as I don't really enjoy going into a boss, killing it after 3 minutes and then teleporting out in most situations. There is one of those bosses on this list, but there's another reason they're included in this, and I'll talk about that when we get there. But I do like the fact that you go into the dungeon, you go through and you kill 3 different bosses, and then you get to the ambassador and you kill the ambassador. You got to sort of work your way along it, and it feels like you're going towards a goal, you're progressing, and that's good for me. I enjoy knowing that I'm working towards something. It's why I enjoy Zuck as well, even though I don't do it as much as I normally should, and it's not on this list, but I enjoy that fight because you're working towards the actual end of the actual kill. And you get less kills per hour, but of course that's reflected in the drop rates in a 1 in 55 rather than other places it's like a 1 in 150 or a 1 in 250 or 1 in 200, all that sort of good stuff. Finally, I prefer this boss to something like Telos, as if you do get a drop, you don't have to go back and commit to that boss to finish off a set of items to be able to make things like the orbs at Telos. You need to get all 3 of them before you can actually get any profit out of them. Here, if you get an ECB piece, you can sell it straight away. It can double, so you can get even more, and it gives you a massive boost in your cash straight away, right? You're getting sometimes it's been 1 bill. At the moment, it's an average of 750 mil. The stock is like 980. The limb is like 600, and then the mechanism is like 700 and something. So it evens out to about 750 mil, which is pretty damn good. Anyway, so that's ED3 for my first one, and let's move on to the second boss. Okay, so next up we have Raksha. Raksha is not one of the hardest bosses in the game, definitely up there though in the learning curve. There's a good learning curve to Raksha, but let's talk numbers. For Raksha's numbers, I am taking this information from the PVME Discord, as it is usually pretty damn accurate, and I will link the Discord server down in the description below, so of course all credit goes to them for the math on this one. They list the value of each kill here at 4.6 million GP, and 571k of that coming from commons. They state that average players can get up to 20 kills per hour, meaning that it's going to be 92.3 mil GP an hour on average, once obviously you average out, and if you are going by the actual drop rate. That being said, personally, my kills are around about 3 minutes each, meaning with banking time, I would probably bring myself down to about 17 or 18 kills an hour. I doubt I would be hitting the exact 20 kills an hour mark unless I was getting 2.5 minute kills each and every time. The PVME Discord actually does state that the gold kill times here are 225 to 240. While I can get a 230 kill, I doubt I'll be hitting that every single time. So if I'm taking away about 18 kills per hour rather than the 20 suggested, then I will probably be looking at around about 82.8 million GP an hour, which, let's be honest, is pretty damn good. So Raksha definitely up there with the high value bosses to kill. With the numbers done, I just mentioned at 83 that I don't really like killing bosses for 3 minutes, teleporting out and resetting. So why would I put Raksha on here, and why do I pick Raksha as one of those bosses? Well, in Raksha, you can duo this boss without getting any negative stuff really whatsoever. The only downside, I guess, would be that you'd have to split loot, but then you get 2 rolls every time you kill the boss. The drop rates aren't changed, so it doesn't really matter too much. That being said, the point I'm making is when you go into a duo, all of Raksha's solo health points are doubled. So you don't end up actually making this fight really any easier, except for the fact that if you're not tanking, you can just DPS and you don't have to worry about all the other stuff. You still have to do your prayer flicking, you still have the same targets and DPS checks that you would normally have in solo, and the boss fight isn't made ridiculously easy from going as a duo. So there's not too many bosses in this game where you can go into a boss fight with another person and it isn't made dramatically easier. For example, we'll take ED3 and the Ambassador again. If you go into the Ambassador with one person, he has the exact same health as he normally would if you added another person or even went up to 3 people. The only thing that changes at the Ambassador, as far as I'm aware of, is there is more black holes to stun, which isn't that big of a deal, you just stun one each, and the corrupted fragments that come around the room during the spinning phase, you have more health on those. You have to kill them off, but there's 3 of you, makes sense, it doesn't make it any harder. You get through the boss so fast, you skip mechanics, and you don't really experience the fight for what it is. At Raksha, the health just doubles straight away. As soon as you enter this boss fight in a duo, it is twice as difficult in health-wise, but the boss fight itself is more or less the same. The pools are the same, the tailspin mechanics, they're all the same, except for the fact that one person doesn't have to tank the actual hits. So you're still doing all the prayer flicking, you're still doing the same amount of damage, and you can work together to try and hit good kill times, which can max up to your actual solo kill times. My solo kill time and my duo kill time are very similar because, of course, it's the same sort of thing. There's not really much difference. And personally, I do PVM in this game because I enjoy it and not just because of gold. So when I go into a boss as a duo, I don't want the boss to be suddenly so much easier. Of course, it's easier because I don't have to tank, but that is the only thing that's taken away. The boss still has the same amount of kill time. It isn't just made so you're skipping loads and loads of mechanics because you're in a duo. So I would much rather duo a boss like Raksha and experience the full fight as normal than go to like the Ambassador, as I mentioned earlier, and start skipping every mechanic because your DPS is increased. So in the future, I would absolutely love if any duo bosses, any group bosses were adjusted in a bigger way like Raksha, because I think Raksha's done really well in the way of duoing, and especially since the drop rates aren't changed and you still take the same amount of time to kill it, and it's just good in all ways. So while this is a boss that is kill for 3 minutes, teleport out and reset, I enjoy the fact that I can come here with friends and not just make the boss irrelevant. Also, I do believe Raksha has a lot to offer for improving at PVM. You can compete with kill times pretty nicely here, and again, you can do this in duo too and still learn that way. But not to mention that, you've also always got your prayer flicking to improve on. You've got defensive use abilities randomly. If you make one mistake, suddenly you've got to react quickly and use your defensive so you don't get screwed up. So Raksha really does have quite a lot to offer in terms of actually improving at PVM. Even when you know the boss inside out, you still have loads of DPS checks you can get towards and actually see an improvement from all the effort that you've put in. It's absolutely great. As much as I would love to add Karapak Hard Mode as one of my favourite money-making bosses in this game, because I love this boss, I think it's just such a fun, interesting, well-designed boss, it's not paid out for me once yet. So far, I've only lost money here, so I could not include it on this list of my favourite money-making bosses because, well, so far I have made absolutely zero from here, so it would feel weird to do. But anyway, Karapak hard mode definitely is incredibly good. And actually, I will include the GP values. They are here. Okay, so Karapak hard mode on the PVME Discord. Thank you again, saving me a hell of a lot of time. You guys list this as 10 million GP per kill. They also recommend that it's possible to get 16 kills an hour if you are really good at this boss, meaning you could get yourself 160 million GP in each hour, assuming you go on drop rate at this boss. That is incredible. That is insanely good. But 16 kills an hour is around about like 3 minutes 40 kills, so it definitely is not the easiest thing to do. My kill times off task is around about 5.5 minutes to 6 minutes. So if I take 5.5 minutes and take that from an hour, that gives us like 10 kills an hour, considering the time to bank and stuff, meaning you could make yourself around about 100 million GP an hour if you were at my level, which is obviously nowhere near as good as what it could be. I'm going to have to put some practice in here. I think this is done with melee, to be fair, but I've never done Karapak hard mode on a task before, so maybe I'll have to check it out. But Karapak hard mode is incredibly fun. I really enjoy doing this in a solo because it does actually still provide a challenge. At least I think it does. Making use of the time warp ability that you get while you're in here makes the fight different from most other bosses that you're going to experience, because you can reuse abilities, you can like set stuff up in ways that you normally wouldn't be able to, and you can do a hell of a lot of DPS incredibly fast where you normally wouldn't be able to do that because you can reset stuff. The first few phases are pretty much just DPS checks as much as you can. You can skip mechanics if you have high DPS, but if not, don't panic, you can deal with mechanics fairly easily. One quick tip, people panic when they see the lightning coming towards them, especially on the third phase because there's 3 walls of lightning. Just use debilitate and reflect on these. You can walk through them at this point. It doesn't hurt anymore. It really doesn't do that much. Just walk through them. Don't spend too long in them. Get through them, get to the other side. You'll be fine. On phase 4 though, you will have to think about what you are doing. You have to use your defenses properly. You have to do a good amount of DPS to kill off the clones quickly. And you have to make use of things like vitality potions and also making sure you extend your devotion by killing a clone while devotion is up. These things all help out a lot and make the fight way easier. Personally, I really enjoy having to think about using defensives in this game when I'm PVMing, so Karapak hard mode really gives me that chance to do that, and it absolutely throws something in the mix every now and again. Some kills you'll get to the last phase and go, wait, where's my food gone? Suddenly I've got to no food phase 4. That makes it incredibly fun for me to be able to do, because you can do that. Defensives are incredibly good, but it just takes focus and practice and effort, and it's just a satisfying boss for me to kill. I enjoy this boss a hell of a lot, so I would absolutely recommend trying this out and learning this boss, especially if your gold per hour at efficient rates can be 160 mil an hour. Holy crap. Realistically, probably not necessarily that high, but if you can get it, you can get it. That brings us to the last boss and my absolute favorite way to make money in this game. Many of you guys need to probably just turn off the video at this point because you already know what I'm going to say. Many of you guys who are new around here, well, here we go. This is ED1, the Temple of Amenity. My favorite place to make money in this game because of how consistent it is, and it always seems to pay out for me in such a good way. The Temple of Amenity is good because you're guaranteed to get money every time you kill this boss. You get ancient scales at the end, and you are guaranteed at least 4 in a solo. The price of these scales, assuming I haven't made a video about ED1 again recently and crashed the prices of them once again, are usually sit around about 900k to 1.1 mil. They bounce between this price. I've not really seen them drop below that too much, and even if they do, they recover pretty quickly. As of making this video, they're sitting around about 930k each. So considering the extra loot that you're going to get, you can guarantee that each run from here is going to be around about 4 to 5 mil at least. The average scales that you will get from ED1 comes to around about 14 scales a run. So expecting about 14 mil every time you run this dungeon, considering you can quite easily get 3 to 4 runs an hour here with a bit of practice. At the moment, I can get myself 4 runs an hour here. It is very tight. It is like 2 minutes left an aura, 1 minute left an aura, but it's definitely achievable. So assuming 4 runs an hour at ED1, you can get yourself around about 56 million GP an hour consistently. When I say consistently, I mean you will have to get pretty unlucky to not be making this much money almost every hour. If you don't get it on 1 hour, if you do like 2 or 3 hours here, it is going to even out to about that. It usually evens out pretty quick as you are rewarded every single kill. I know plenty of people who can get 5 or 6 runs an hour here, which is incredible to me. I don't understand how people manage to pull that off, because where the frick does the time come from? But if you can get 5 kills an hour, it works out at around about 68 million GP according to the PVME Discord, and then also 6 kills comes to about 82.4 million GP. If you can get 6 runs an hour at ED1, let me know in the comments if you can do that. I don't know how. Please explain. Anyway, ED1, just like ED3, is incredibly fun to do because it breaks down the whole fight experience. You go through, you've got the progress of actually feeling like you're working towards something. At least that's something I enjoy as well. And every time you get to the end, you know you're going to get rewarded. I have done so much Elite Dungeons 1 that it is ridiculous. People ask me how I don't get burnt out or fed up of the same boss over and over again. Well, if you get rewarded every single time you do the boss, you know you're going to always make money, you know what you're going to get, and it's that consistent, then you never really get burnt out, because you're not going to go dry for 100 kills, because you're just not, because you're going to get what you're going to get. Not to mention the dopamine hit you get every time you get to the end of Seiryu. You're ready for that drop. You know you're about to make some money. It could be an average amount. It could be a pretty good amount, or it could be 220 mil. So while the drops here can't go up to ridiculous amounts, like 1 billion GP drops, for example, it can go pretty high, like 220 mil for the scales. That's the biggest drop you can get. And of course, if you got it, it's pretty damn exciting. In the past, I did 100 runs of this and kept them all in the same chest. And I can tell you now that the profit evened out the whole way across. Every time we did an update video of 10 kills, the profit was sitting the same the whole way through. The scale drops were about 14 scales every single time I did 10 runs. That's how consistent this is. You could do 10 runs and more or less expect to get the same thing almost every time. Obviously, if you get yourself a 220 scale drop, that's going to push it in a big way. But we got like 100 scale drop, we got some 80 scale drops, and then it balanced out in the long run. Got some falls, got some good luck, got some bad luck, and the profit per hour just stayed the same the whole way through. So that is why Elite Dungeon 1 is probably my favorite place to make money in this game, as I've mentioned a few times in the past. But it is what it is, and that is why. And if you ever wondered how I don't get burnt out here, that is how. Anyway, that brings us to the end of my top bosses for making money in RuneScape 3 and why. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If it did give you some information on which bosses you could go for, or maybe you found the new favorite boss that you want to work towards, then let me know in the comments. Of course, I will be interested in finding out if any of these were appealing to you that you aren't doing yet, or maybe you want to do. Or maybe you agree and you want to let me know that you agree with those for certain reasons, or disagree. Let me know whatever you think. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. I very, very much appreciate it. Leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. If you enjoyed the music in the video, there's a link in the description to my music channel where you can download all of that and listen to it whatever you want. If you're a content creator, you can use it for free. That's absolutely fine with no copyrights and all that sort of good stuff. Finally, thank you to the channel members for supporting the channel. Your names will have been on screen. I very much appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody else watching as well. So thank you all so much. And I will see you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.